Hey, it's Tim, and we're going to get weird in today's video. We're going to talk about rituals. Getting to 15K plus per month as a remote sales professional, as a remote closer, going from that hell of 3K, 4K, 5K, when you've been promised that you can make 10K plus in remote sales, getting from there, stuck in that period, to those 15K plus months. How do we make it happen? How does it happen? Ritual, ritual, ritual. I used a ritual to get to that mark in sales. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you how to use ritual to do that. Okay, and don't let the word ritual scare you. Or if it does scare you, don't be a snowflake. Okay, because I'm going to get real with you in this training today. We're going to get very real, and I'm going to break down to you the rituals I use to make this kind of money. The first thing we need to do is define ritual. What a ritual is, and this is the Google definition, the Britannica dictionary definition, it's a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. What are the first two pieces of that statement? A religious or solemn ceremony. It's interesting, right? A ceremony, a religious or solemn ceremony. Solemn means serious. It means we take it seriously. It's to be taken highly seriously because we're talking about faith. We're talking about spirituality. That's what we hear when we hear a religious ceremony, a solemn ceremony, right? What's interesting is I take my success and my earning the exact same way. Okay. I went from being a dating coach who was broke and not able to barely make 5K a month. Sometimes I would do a 10K a month here and there, but very inconsistent, to being a remote sales professional who was clearing months of 15K plus with ease. It took a lot of work, but consistently and clearly, right? How? Why? Now I run a company that's pushing for $500,000 in revenue. We've only been running this business for just about 8 months. Started in April last year, while I was still a remote closer. What happened? Like, what's the thing? It's rituals. It comes down to rituals, and I'm going to give those rituals to you here. There are rituals of abundance and there are rituals of poverty. That's a fact. There are those two things, rituals of abundance and you have rituals of poverty. A ritual of abundance is a ritual where you've taken freedom and success and financial freedom, earning potential. You've taken it so seriously and you've identified and aligned with it so much that you've built your life in such a way that your life is constructed to be completely aligned with financial freedom and flexibility. Okay, that's a freedom ritual. That's an abundance ritual. That's a money ritual, which I'm going to give you here. And then you have rituals of poverty, which many of you are stuck in. And I see a lot of remote closers, a lot of sales pros who are stuck at 5K a month, even 6K a month, which is way lower than you could be. A lot of remote closers get to this point where they get into the space and they've created a ritual that guarantees that they have poverty. Because I was like this. And I'm going to explain to you what the problem is. I'll break down exactly what the issue is and how it works and how to change it. I was stuck in a ritual of poverty where I had certain habits, I had certain identities, I had certain behaviors that literally created a poverty cycle in my life. And again, poverty doesn't mean you're living under a bridge, okay? Poverty to me means anything below 10K a month. That's poverty. Poverty meaning where your potential is 50K per month, even as a business owner, because a lot of you are not going to be closers for the rest of your life. You're not going to be a closer for 10 years. You'll be a closer and you'll pivot into other things. Maybe you'll get into some other business model, right, where you can make more money because you've made all your money with sales. But what happens is a lot of closers get into this. I did the same thing, and we get into this while we have a poverty ritual built. So we have habits, identities, and behaviors built that are going to lead to us staying broke and staying under the 10K a month mark. When in actuality, what's needed is a ritual that's based in success, right? A freedom ritual, a freedom habit, a freedom identity, a freedom behavior. All these things are going to lead to you having months of 15K, 20K plus, like our top people do. Sati just hit 25K in January. We've had Charlie, who has a video on our channel, and Sati has a video, hit 19K, right? And pushed basically for 20 recently. So like we've had a lot of our guys making money, right? Nero scaled his business. He was a client of mine, scaled his business, NeroKnowledge, to 150K per month now, and he's selling 25K packages. I trained him in sales. All right, but they all had freedom rituals that they had built. And that wasn't because of me. I just provided like the technical skills and some of the mindset stuff when it comes to sales, but they had the freedom ritual, which allowed them to make money using our stuff. So I'm going to break down to you my poverty ritual, and I'll show you the difference between how I thought, how I acted, how I lived when I was a closer who was not making money, which was my situation for about 6 months. A little less than 6 months, maybe I'll go 3 to 4 months, where I wasn't making money at all, stuck in this hellhole of like 3K per month, maybe a 4K occasionally. Usually it was like 2 to 4K. To then how I changed my entire life and ended up being a closer who was pushing for 15K plus months. My highest earning month being February of 2024, where I earned over $18,000 in commissions, right? How did I build this for myself, where I consistently was earning cash, how I consistently built freedom? So here's what I was doing wrong first. I'll give you the poverty ritual first. And I have my notes here. So this is what I came up with, and I realized, because I didn't realize it then, I had to actually sit and think of this in later on in retrospect and be like, why is it that I was so broke back then, and what kept me stuck? Why is it that I didn't just come into the space and make a bunch of money? Because it wasn't just like I got into the space and I didn't work, because I did work hard. Yes, I worked hard to an extent. But for some reason, I didn't make money when I came in, even though I could have. My potential was here, and I was performing down here, which I know a lot of you are right now. I talk to you all the time. Some of you are in our program, on our protocols training, and I know you're like this. You're dealing with this, right? What was the problem? So number one, first part of my poverty ritual, this is what kept me broke, is I would show up to calls and have good conversations with people. So I believed, and this was an unconscious belief system that I would have. It wasn't anything tangible. Let me turn my lights up a little bit. It wasn't anything tangible. I believed that if I just showed up to calls and like did the closer thing and did my job, I would get paid. That's what I believed. I believed that the hard work in remote sales was like getting on a good offer. I hear that from y'all all the time. If I can just find an offer, I'll be set. I'll be good. I believed it was getting on a good offer, showing up to my calls, and just doing what I needed to do on the call by showing up, right? So I thought that if I have good conversations, and this is what a lot of people who get into remote sales find out, which is probably why you're on this channel, and if you like my stuff, this is probably why you like it. One reason, because you got into remote sales, and all these YouTubers promise and say, oh, you just get into this little known industry where you can make 10K per month within a month. It's bullshit. 99% of people that won't happen to. The top people who are the top performers, I'm going to make a training on this. We'll drop it next week. This is going to come out Thursday, so the next one will be Monday. And that's going to be a sick one. I'll explain to you how the industry works. But a lot of people don't understand this. They think that it's going to be like a walk in the park. I have good conversations. I thought the same thing. Again, I was a victim of this. My business had crashed. My dating coaching business had absolutely failed. Me and my business partner had a falling out. I had lost a bunch of money. We didn't book a sales call for 2 months. It was really, really freaking bad. We made no money, and I was in a bad place. I was down to my last couple grand. And I have a girl. I got my dog, not kids and stuff, thank God. But I got an apartment to pay for, and stuff, giving back to my family. So like I had shit to pay for. But I had this mindset of all I need to do is have good conversations with people on Zoom, and because I have the good conversation and show up, I'll get paid, and people will close. But that wasn't the case. I thought my discovery is good. I know how to have a good conversation. I know how to ask the right questions. I'm good at that. I'm charismatic. Didn't work. My close percentage was like 10%. And I was getting paid 3K a month. That was the first problem. Second thing is, in terms of my education with sales, I was watching YouTube content on remote sales. That was where my education was coming from. I was investing in YouTube content. Literally, I would invest in YouTube content. I would watch the top creators. You guys know the names, Jeremy, Myna, all these people. I would watch the guys that are the most popular in the space. And I was like, this is what's going to get me good. Watching some of their call recordings, listen to some sales podcasts. That was the extent of my investment in myself. That was the extent. I was in a low ticket community as well. Like how much I was paying for that? Like I think $100 a month, right? And that was the extent of how I invested in myself. But again, and I'll explain to you why this didn't work when I get into what I did correct, the money ritual. What again was happening was I was stuck in a position where I was way below my potential because I wasn't investing in myself. I'm not even talking about money. I'm talking about my time investment even wasn't the kind of investment that someone who wins at sales and who wins at the game, it wasn't the kind of investment that they make, right? And that was a problem. That was something that genuinely kept me broke, kept me poor, genuinely, right? Number three was I would try to inspire myself and like lock in before my sales. So, because what happened was my first month, I was very encouraged and excited. I was like, oh, I found a role. I had gotten a role. I did some DM outreach on Instagram. I got on a role. It turned out to be terrible, but hey, I got in a role. I was like, now I can maybe pay my rent. I'm good for the next month. I can provide for myself, provide for my girl. Like we'll be all right. But then what happened was my close percentage was terrible because I didn't actually know how to close, and the offer was the business was terrible. But still, I could have closed more. I could have. I took that responsibility on myself, and I started panicking. So what happened is before my calls, I would psych myself up. I'd be like, "Oh, here we go," and I know some of you do this. There's guys I work with who come into our protocols training program, and within the first week, I'm like, "Dude, you have to stop psyching yourself up before calls. Stop prepping for your calls mentally. Stop being like, here we go." And I'll tell you why that's a problem. Because if you prep for your calls, And if you, by prep, what I mean is mentally get yourself in a headspace where you're ready to do sales. I don't like this. Your routine should be, I execute when needed, right? That should be the routine. You should build a routine around it. But you don't want it to be like, this is normal me, and then this is sales me. Just you as a person should be able to close deals. You shouldn't need to get in some kind of headspace to be able to hop on a sales call, right? So what I was doing is I would get warmed up and I would get all psyched up for my calls, but it would create more energy, negative energy, that would take me away from actually closing deals, which then crashed my close percentage even more of a problem, right? I would try to inspire myself. And then the other thing was number 4, part of my this poverty ritual is I was always hoping that I would find a better offer to make more money, right? I was always thinking it was the offer. Once I get in a good offer in the sales space, I'll be good to go. And I'm lucky in a way because I didn't fully fall victim to this, whereas a lot of sales pros do. A lot of sales pros I know fall victim to this, and they stay trapped in offer finding hell for a year, and then they find us and we like whip them into shape and like, hey dude, this is actually what you need, it's skill set, and then we'll help you find an offer, right? But a lot of sales pros get trapped in this cycle where they're like, I just need the good offer, and then we have to change a bunch of stuff for them. But luckily for me, the second offer I got on was actually a decent offer. Like, it wasn't the best offer, but it was enough for me to start hitting months of 8K, 10K plus. Then I offer stacked, added another one into that, and then, made a bunch more money and got my comms way higher. But I still have this mindset of I need to find a good offer because the offer is the thing that's going to make me money. When I could have gotten to like 6K in comms on my first offer, I could have, but I wasn't. The calendar was packed. I was closing at 10%. I could have at least gotten 20% of that offer, but I didn't because my skill set wasn't good. All right, that was the problem. The skill set wasn't there. That was the issue. So here was my money ritual. I'll get right into it. The money ritual that I created was vastly different than what I was doing when I was in a cycle of poverty. It was completely different. What did it look like? So number 1, there was a couple things here that were important. So before I get in, I'm going to get into ritual. This is the first part. But before I go into like the technical weeds, I want you to understand the mindset, because that's where everything starts from. And it has to start with mindset. And it's not corny to say like, here's a little mindset trick, bro. It actually has to start with mindset. Because you unlock everything in the mind. And your actions will follow your mind. All right? Your actions will follow your mind. And again, you can start to take actions without the right mindset, but it helps to have a baseline mindset established, a baseline helpful mindset established before you go into action. Okay? I'll explain it and lay it all out here. So the first thing I did was I read the book Psycho-Cybernetics. I read this book towards the middle to end of 2023. And this book changed my life. And one of the things that changed my life about reading this book, what was so helpful to me, was I started to realize that if I wanted to be someone who was a high earner, like being able to pay myself from my company 10K, 15K or more per month, which is not even crazy, by the way, but that's objectively in any Western country that's making a good amount of money, right? There's more I want to aim for, but that's good. It's a good start. If I wanted to become that person, that earner, I was going to have to embody the characteristics, behaviors, beliefs, and identities of that person before I became that person, right? And the book Psycho-Cybernetics talks about this a lot. I haven't mentioned it recently on this channel. If you look at some of my older self-improvement videos, self-development videos, you'll see how I talk about this book. But I used to talk about it all the time because at the time it had such a big impact on me. And now I've gotten a bit away from it because, it's just been time. But I read that book in mid-2023 and it changed my life. And one of the big things that I took away from it was the idea of seeing and remembering. Stick with me. We're going to get dense here. And if you have an attention span and you actually want to make money, you should be able to use this and it will make you money. I begin to understand and believe that I was a sales pro who was at 10K plus per month. I begin to believe that, identify that in my mind, and begin to embody that in my psyche and my soul. Because Psycho-Cybernetics talks about this. It's like the version of you that has financial freedom, flexibility, and has this amazing life. You should visualize and see that version of you now. Any action that you take that goes against who that version of you would be in the future, you're immediately going into a path of self-sabotage and you're stopping yourself from being that person. Because what would that person do? If that person is making 100 grand a month, they're going to act like someone who makes 100 grand a month, which means what are those actions? What is their diet like? What is their fitness like? What is their daily activities like? Do they hire people? Do they not? Do they have mentors? Do they not? Do they travel? Do they not? How do they handle their money? How do they think? How do they breathe? Like everything, right? and then construct a visual around being that person. When that person acts, when that person is in that position, what does it look like? What's a story or an environment that they would be in? And remember being in that situation, even though it hasn't happened, you can still commit it to memory as if it has already happened. And through the committing to memory, you embody this. Someone who's done this so well is Sati, who I mentioned a lot on this channel because one of our top performers, is one of the top guys we've trained, and he's done this so well. I've seen him do it in his journey. He embodies this so well. And he just had a 25K month. And before this, he did a 16K. Before that, he had a 12K. Like he's on our channel, featured, right? I featured him when he had his first, I believe he did 10K or 14K. One of those numbers, I'm confusing because we have a bunch of case studies. But he did this that month, and you can see it on the channel. If you just look up Sati, or so you see the video on the channel. We need to make our organization better in terms of videos. But it's here. If you want to go for it, you can find it. And there's a lot of gems in that journey that he shares with you in that video, the interview I did with him. But he did that, and I did that, thus allowing me to make money. Because before I ever went into any of the technicals and this technique, this script, that script, like before that, it was embodying elite performance, embodying it through my entire psyche, through my entire soul, but embodying it from the sense of who would that person be? How would that person act? How would that person communicate on calls? How would that person treat their sales skills? Or wink, wink, foreshadowing, we're about to get to that. How would that person treat their sales skills? How would they treat the sales game? How would they embody this success day to day while on sales calls, while operating in the world? And then what I did was I chose to embody that fully, and I chose to bring that to my live calls, bring that to my live performance, bring that to how I existed in the world and how I ran my shit, as it were. Right? That's the secret. That's the game. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and that's how I ended up having success. Because I chose to actively embody that person in the present, right? And I started kicking this off towards the end of 2023, which is when I started seeing success in my business. Success in remote sales, and then eventually in business. As we started this business about a year later. Going back to the money ritual, the second thing I started to do, and this was really powerful for the entire ritual and the entire journey, was I started to train sales as a skill, not as an opportunity. Okay, this is the second shift that I made. So for me, when I started off in sales, to me, sales was just an opportunity, and a lot of you, I know it's this way too. Remote sales was just an opportunity and a way out. That's what it was. It was a way out, like here's a way out to get out of my current situation, my current circumstances, and they were bad. Again, the situation that I was in was bad. I got down to my last $100 in my business account. The business crashed. I owed my old business partner, and who was a very close friend of mine, I owed him a couple grand, like thousands of dollars, and I had to pay that back to him. And it was bad. We didn't have any clients. Like, it was a bad situation I was in, right? So I got into sales as an opportunity, as a way to get out of that. So I heard this whole thing of remote sales, and I was like, you can have freedom with remote sales. Great. I found this amazing solution. Let me get out of the situation that I'm in and make my life better through remote sales. But what I had to do in order to make money was I had to stop seeing remote sales as just a golden ticket, like an opportunity, and I had to see it as a skill. I had to see it literally as a skill, like an athlete would see a sport. And I had to respect the skill. And what I say to all our people in our training program is I had to learn how to respect the game, right? That was the big one. I had to learn how to respect the game, actually, and teach myself that sales was a game that I had to master and I had to win at. So I shifted my consciousness from seeing sales as just this opportunity. Oh, I can make money with sales. Great. I'm here now. I'm showing up to calls. To know instead, I literally can change my life by using this as a skill set. So it became not an opportunity to make money, which is what a lot of you guys want. You guys are like, I hear you all the time because I have conversations with you. Some of you hit me on Instagram and I talk to you. Some of you talk to our SDR, our sales rep, like talk to Frank. And we collect data. We know what we're getting from you guys. And I hear all the time, yeah, just when I find my good offer, when I find my good offer. We hear it all the time on our calls, all the time. Like, I just need a good offer. All I need is a good offer. But you're not good. Like, your skill set isn't good. I'm not hating on you personally. I'm saying to you all out there, your skill set isn't good enough. And how do I know? I've trained at this point over 50 sales reps, hired 20 plus over the last year on different offers, or placed them on offers. So we've seen a variety of skill sets. I've seen people in the top sales training programs who are not actually that good, surprisingly. And then I've seen our people, and I've seen other people from other programs that are really good, right? And we've gotten to see the whole spectrum of skill sets. And it's crazy how a lot of sales pros think they're good, and they're not, because they're taking this as an opportunity, not as a skill set, right? The number three, this was an extension, part of my ritual of me taking the game seriously and actually treating this as a skill set, was I began to rewatch my calls and change my scripting, right? So I became laser focused on understanding myself as a sales pro and what I did. If you right now run sales calls, let's say you're on an offer right now, what are you closing on? Some kind of biz op, let's say, I don't know, maybe real estate coaching, right? You help people find listings and get into real estate. Cool. When's the last time that you watched one of your calls and actually broke your call down yourself? When's the last time you looked at one of your calls and broke it down? I could then ask, do you have someone breaking it down with you? But hey, that's not my place. I won't do that here. I won't ask you that here. But when's the last time you looked at your own calls? Do you know how you sound on a sales call? I have watched, I want to give the right number. It's kind of a hypothetical or like a arbitrary number. I don't know for a fact if this is the case, so I don't want to bullshit you, but I believe I've watched like 100 plus hours of my own calls. It's minimum 100. What I mean is I don't want to aim too low. It's minimum 100. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of my own calls, watching them. For about 6 months straight, I studied my own calls. And I'm talking 4 or 5 days a week. I would sit with my calls in my ears, on a plane if I was flying somewhere, if I had to go fly, do something. If I was in the cafe, just taking some space out. If I was in the gym, I would sit and watch my calls. Or I'd watch calls from, people that I was training with, programs I had invested in. I would watch those calls too. But I was watching my own calls. So I became so familiar with my own scripting. I became familiar with how I communicated, and then I began to adjust. So I watched my calls, reviewed them myself, and I began to change my scripting according to the new information that I was learning from mentors, from people who coached me. All right? And then number four, the fourth piece of the ritual, and this, again, leveled me up even more. All of this was equal. All of this was even. All of this came together. But this was even more, is I became obsessed with mastery and obsessed with executing a flawless process on my calls. Dude, you don't know how obsessed I was. I became obsessed with the game of sales. Obsessed with the game. And this is the change that I saw going from, again, that 3 to 4K mark where it was opportunity, to then the 15K plus mark, which took time to get to. It wasn't just like one day I changed, like first month 3K, next month 15. It was about a 4-month transition between these two times, right? Between these two periods. But during this time, I became obsessed with mastering the game. It wasn't even about the money anymore. I didn't care about the money. Like, at first I got into sales calls and I was like, oh, let me hop in and do what I'm supposed to do. But then it was like, all the best performers that I've worked with, the guys that perform, and gals that perform the best in their offers, like Jabari, Valeria, Roan, all of our people, Ty, all these guys like that I'm training who are A players who crush it at the highest levels. Henry, shout out you, like you're one of our newer guys, but you've been pushing really hard. Like the reason they have success, the reason I've had success is because the level of mastery, like the obsession with mastery. Like these guys, like I'll use Henry. Henry's a great example of this. You know who you are, Henry. You'll see this. We just reached a call review for him, and this guy is performing already at a top level. He's at 33% right now on his first closing offer, his first real full-time closing offer. Or like it's a part-time offer, but his first in the game closing offer, right? He's closing on a trading offer right now, and this kid's rolling at 33%. Already pacing like to do really well for himself, assuming the volume continues and picks up on his offer. He could be at 10K per month for sure. You guys will see him on this channel. Ideally, let's say end of February. Maybe we have to go March, depending on the volume in the situation he's in. But this kid is like not satisfied, right? We train. We do call reviews in our protocols program. We're on call review. We just did one the other day with his discovery, and his discovery is better than like most people in the sales space. Like his discovery is good. But he's like, I want to do it better. I want to get better, right? And that's the reason why someone like Henry is going to make 20K a month, right? That's the reason why Henry's going to be on some of the top offers within the next year, right? He will, because he's obsessed with mastery, and he's one of my guys. And the people who train with us are obsessed with mastery. That's also why our program is intimate, because most people in the space aren't obsessed with mastery. They want an opportunity and a handout. They're like, oh, I'll get on the good offer and then let the chips fall where they may. My little job. That's what they want. But we want mastery. We want to be the best communicators, the best leaders, and all that, right? Which is how our clients perform so well, but then also what makes it tougher. right? Because it is harder, 100%. We approach the game differently. We don't approach it just as a 9 to 5, as a job. We approach it as mercenaries. That's how I am. I'm a psycho like that. But I became obsessed with it. I became obsessed with mastery because I realized that the version of me who was going to make money, the version of me who was going to have freedom in his life, whether that was through remote sales only or it became through business. Now it's transitioned to business. Now I teach sales pros, I realized it was going to be through mastery. And then the last part of the ritual for me, I guess we're at number 5 here, is I decided that I would win where I was at and max out my current situation. And I actually did this. And that's when I offer switched. I switched my offer when I realized I couldn't max that out anymore. So I started getting better while I was on the terrible offer. And then eventually with time, I was like, this is not serving me anymore. I need to hit somewhere else. And I hadn't even gotten better to the peak of my skills at that point. I got way better on the dating offer. But at least I gave myself a shot to perform as well as I could. We even have guys that get in our program and they're frustrated with their offers. They're like, hey, I think I could be on a better offer. And we're like, dude, if you come in, we're going to get you to max out where you are now, bump your commissions and double them right now. That's the immediate goal. And then we'll get you something better. We'll help you with something better. So it's the same standard I have for myself and had in my money ritual, right? It was win where I was at. Max that out, and then eventually, sure, I'll look for a better situation, which I did, and I got into a better situation, then got on another great offer in addition to dating one, and was able to max out, make a bunch of money, right? So that was my money ritual. And that's how I changed my life. And let's look at where that brought me now, and then I'll kind of tie things up here and let you go. But at the end of this, there's a couple of points here that'll be really good for you. Is now at this point I've been consulting for multiple 6- and 7-figure info product businesses, right? We've built the most advanced training program in the sales space, in remote sales specifically, that I can find, at least better than all the top dogs, right? We don't have the biggest program, we're not the flashiest, we don't have all the cool marketing and stuff, but we have the purest training that exists, right? It's like some pure cocaina. I shouldn't say that. I'm gonna get I shouldn't have said that. I'm not gonna edit it out though. I'm stuck with it. Anyways, okay. Our stuff is pure, grade A, pure white, pure crystal clear training, right? That's our stuff. It's the purest you can get straight from, okay, I'll stop. But we have the best training in the industry, right? It's pure advanced technical communication leadership stuff. And we got into this point because of my dedication to mastery, because I decided to master the game. And it brought me here. And our closers, the people on our program, we've tracked numbers over 2 million in revenue across multiple different offers, multiple different companies over the last 6 months, which is freaking crazy awesome. And I can say I played a small piece in getting them to that point. And these companies are making money, our closers are making money. I've made money because I've trained them. They invested in my work. So that's where we are now. And this is my money ritual, going from, again, that guy who was stuck at like 2K a month, 3K a month, barely making money, to hitting months of 10K, 15K plus, and setting myself free, being able to have this great life, being able to fly my mom to Budapest, being able to pay for a bunch of stuff for my sister's wedding, being able to give back to people. And that's what matters to me. Anyway, this is my story. It's not about my story. It's about the ritual. And I wanted you to learn from it here and see how it can help you, and see what you can take from this. You can make a bunch of money. You just need to go at it the right way. Again, if you want to work with our team, with myself specifically, one-on-one, and you want to have a call with my team, that's how it works. Book a call. It's down below. We don't have a link to a sales call. We're not going to sell you anything from YouTube, or even on the first call. We do a 2-call close process. So what you can do is have a strategy call with one of the guys on our team. He'll talk to you, and we'll just take 15 minutes, figure out where you're at in terms of skill set, figure out where you're at in terms of needs. Some people we can help, some people we can't, right? We talk to some people and it's like, hey, you're just not a great fit. Maybe you should do more work on your own, or even go to someone else's program that's not as advanced as ours. Maybe you should go to a beginner level program. We know some people out there who are good beginner level programs. We send some of our people who want to come work with us to them. But maybe you will be a good fit, and if you are, and if we're a good fit for you, if you like what you feel, what you see, then we'll invite you from that 15-minute strategy call to book a demo. But check it out. The link is down below. It's a free 15-minute call. We'll give you some direction, some clarity, and invite you to book a sales call demo call, we call it, with someone on our team if it's a good fit. Cool. That's it. Make some money. Change your life. There's a whole bunch of freedom to be had and a whole bunch of change to be made, okay? You get one life, so use it. Use this one life well. I will see you on the next training. We're going to go deep on the next one, so get ready for the next one. Like the next one that's going to pop out in a couple of days is going to be crazy. So I'll see you there. Okay, goodbye.